I hope I'm not waylaid or deceived by Nostradamus and all these people who go in for telling the future. And certainly when it comes to Richard Murphy, who presents an enticing economic thesis suggesting that the new inheritance tax, which hits farmers, the tractor tax, could rebalance farmland's function from being a mere financial asset, a financial instrument, to being a genuine resource for the country. However, his argument, though intriguing, is fraught with oversights and disregards the complex nature of real farming and real economics. I think rather than listening to some slow-talking economist, he talks slowly because he wants to give the impression that everybody else who's listening to him is a fool, rather than paying attention to this man who sits in an office surrounded by books, we should listen to real farmers who actually have to face this issue. Just very bluntly, Murphy's notion is that people like Dyson have bought up lots of farmland, inflated the price of farmland, and they are not real farmers. And the inheritance tax changes will hit them, bring in money, but it will also hit real farmers, real family farmers. And if in some future, so 10, 15 years down the line, farmland reduces in price and encourages younger people to get into farming, well, fine. By that time, our farms will be dead. And so will the farmers who, he admits, are elderly and working very hard. They will also be dead. And this government will have helped to ensure that. So instead of listening to some airy-fairy prognosticator, some man who uses the tools of economics to forecast the future, we know that economics is a very uncertain science. Do you believe him, or do you believe a person like Clive Bailey, the grounded perspective from the land, who was interviewed this morning on LBC, reflecting the experience of thousands of family farmers? For them, land isn't merely a ledger entry or an investment vehicle, it's the very foundation of their livelihoods and their legacy. Bailey, a third-generation farmer from Staffordshire, the founder of the Farming Forum, underscores the harsh reality. While farms might be valued in the millions, the annual returns from farming often hover around 0.5%. The profits are scarcely sufficient to maintain operations, let alone absorb the inheritance tax without selling crucial parts of the farm. Murphy's notion that inheritance tax could make farmland more affordable for new entrants ignores the complex immediate repercussions on current farmers, and these repercussions include the potential disbandment of multi-generational family farms, forcing owners to sell vital assets. As Bailey notes, this would be akin to asking a mechanic to sell his tools to pay a tax bill. Once the tools are gone, once the farm's gone, so too is the mechanic's trade. This is not just about economics, but about the social fabric of rural life, where farms represent centuries of family toil and community stability. If the government really wanted to attack people like Dyson, who have bought up large acreage because they've seen a tax loophole identified by what's the silly man, the fellow who played around with cars and now's got his farm, Clarkson, then Rachel Reeves should have targeted the Dyson set, not the real farmers. So while Murphy's argument about land speculation has merit, and people on YouTube in my comments say, look at Richard Murphy. I've looked at Richard Murphy. This is my response, by the way. So while Murphy's argument against land speculation has merit, and it does, farmland used as a financial shelter distorts the market. It overlooks the genuine farmers, like those represented by Tim Farron and Bailey. They're not the root of the problem. Instead, they've become collateral damage in a broader policy that fails to distinguish between land barons and working farmers, because it's all done on paper by people stuck in London who don't know what a real farm is worth, who don't get their hands dirty. This is urban insensitivity, urban superiority over the real rural culture that defines our country. Farron's observations reveal that many farms currently yield incomes far below the minimum wage, and new tax burdens could push them to closure or forced consolidation under corporate ownership. Exactly what this tax is designed, according to Murphy, to discourage, stripping rural areas of independence and local food production. Murphy says that the economic analysis is all about farmers choosing the wrong problem. They're choosing the right problem. He says they should be blaming supermarkets. They should be blaming the bigger producers. Farmers are not being paid enough, he says. And he talks about the monopsonist who is exploiting them. Monopsonist, oh my goodness. You know, it's... We need to... Murphy's analysis rests on the belief that reducing land values through tax measures will open doors for new farmers and foster sustainability. But his fairy godmother economics is naive in assuming that such a transition will occur smoothly or equitably. It fails to address the immediate financial strain and the psychological toil on current farmers who have already endured foot-and-mouth disease, the George Eustace rubbish, the effects of Brexit, and now this. It's one thing after another for farmers. And Murphy says, oh, farmers all complain, that's all they do. Farmers, of course they complain, because they're being hit every minute by urban twits in the House of Commons who think they know about farming. They don't, and there's not enough farmers in the House of Lords, because the House of Lords is now stacked. Not with people who know what they're doing, not with specialists in their field, but with cronies of the current government. The one thing we knew about the House of Lords in the hereditary peerage was that some of them were farmers, real farmers. The reality is that many farmers today, already grappling with volatile weather, the impacts of trade policies post-Brexit, see this inheritance tax as another step towards their economic death. And Murphy's assumption that the land's inflated value results solely from financial speculation is too mechanistic. The real value of farmland encompasses not only its market price, but its utility as an asset tied to production and environmental stewardship. The argument that inheritance tax might push non-farming landowners out holds a kernel of truth, yes. But the method of indiscriminately imposing tax penalties on all farms, regardless of the diversity within the agricultural sector, is fatuous and urban and patronising, and that is the problem. If he identifies the real issue, the real people who are taking advantage and not paying enough tax, well then why not tell Rachel Reeves before the budget that that is where she should strike, that is what she should target. Instead, in her urban tower, her urban ivory tower, she smashes all farmers. And she's wrong. And he's wrong. Murphy's critique of the rigged market against farmers is accurate. Supermarkets and food manufacturers wield disproportionate influence. Still, the claim that inheritance tax will rectify these deeper issues is simplistic and stupid. To improve farming's viability, policies should tackle monopolistic practices, support fair pricing, promote sustainable practices through targeted subsidies. We had some of that while Europe existed. We don't have enough of that now. while Murphy correctly identifies the need for policy interventions to challenge monopsonist practices, the notion that inheritance tax could be the farmer's unlikely saviour overlooks the chaos and the closures it will cause in the short to mid-term. Ultimately, while Murphy's vision may hold theoretical allure and may bedazzle or bejazzle. Somebody talked about bejazzling. Can't remember who it was now. I think bejazzling is something. I had a friend who somehow slipped into a program called Naked Attraction. I don't think I talk to this friend anymore. I was slightly shocked, and I think there was a conversation there about bejazzling, which I must say I wish I hadn't heard about. Anyway, so while Murphy's vision may have theoretical allure or bejazzle, it's detached from the on-the-ground reality voiced by Bailey, underscored by the economic conditions laid out by Farron. Real farmers, such as Bailey, understand that while land prices are high, these values are locked within the farm as an operational asset, not liquid wealth. The imposition of an inheritance tax might deter speculative buyers, but without addressing the broader issues facing the agricultural sector, the policy risks gutting or glutting family farming in Britain for the future. For the future. What's the Japanese koan or something is about? You can shear a sheep many times, but you can only skin it once. This is skinning the sheep. Farmers need support against the squeezing forces of the market, not in a one-size-fits-all tax designed with idealistic long-term aims and no consideration for the livelihoods at stake today. The voices of real farmers like Clive Bailey, who speak of generational investment, commitment, and the slim margins on which they operate, must guide the policy debate, and economic models put forward by slow-talking twits surrounded by books must be tempered with the empathy and practicality of real life. Two qualities, empathy and practicality, which Murphy's analysis lacks completely. So please, if you want to recommend that I listen to Richard Murphy, please next time recommend that I put earplugs in. And if you think I'm going to listen to somebody, I'm also going to critique them if I think they're wrong. Murphy, 2 out of 10. Bailey, who appeared on LBC this morning, 9 out of 10. You know, who do I listen to? Who do I listen to? I listen to the people I was brought up with, the farmers in Lincolnshire. I listen to their concerns. The farmers in Scotland, I listen to their concerns. Do I listen to Rachel Reeves, who's never got her hands dirty in her life? What jobs has she done that we can actually believe she's done? It's like Kemi Badenoch. These people do not live in the real world. These people live in an ivory tower which we call Westminster. They do not know what real people have to endure. They are patronising and they are wrong.